Joining me as we explore the Municipalities focused demo for the town of Redwood. The town of Redwood is a example site that we had built to show off 3 different scenarios of extended transactions that can be implemented within commerce for finance and operations. These transactions are going to include additional data to further enrich the interaction required for these transactions. I'm going to get into these 3 different transactions and provide an example of each as I do those actions. So right now I've been logged in as Matthew. And the first transaction that I want to kind of look at here is going to be for licensing and permits. And that's going to be one for a dog license renewal. So to set the stage, we can imagine an instance whereby Matthew has registered his dog in the past, and that information is available in the system. So it can be then retrieved for a renewal. So if I go in and take a look at this particular dog license renewal form here as I'm going through, I can see that I've got a pet name dropdown. So this is not just information that's being stored within the system. It's actually an attribute that's being stored on the citizen individual themselves, Matthew. So I know that in the past, Matthew has registered both Petunia and Franklin as pets. So when we're doing a renewal, I can provide him the option to select one of these to renew. Now, in reality, there may need to be additional information that is provided or surfaced. That absolutely can be done. So as an example, we've got Petunia and Franklin, but we could surface, for example, a registration number and a date and a name. Whatever needs to be here to allow for that selection. So I can select Petunia, and then we could add this to our bag. So the next one that I want to look at here, and we'll take the drop-down menu as our path rather than the cards that we were looking at in the past, is we're looking at a permit, and we're going to look at a building permit. So in this example, we may need to upload files in order to be able to submit this building permit request for processing. So right now we've got no file selected, so I can choose a file, jump into my business docs and choose this guy here. And now we can see we've got that guy uploaded as a PDF. So when I submit, right, add to bag, that file can then be included in that submission. So now we've looked at an instance where we've got information coming from the system being presented we choose. We've got the example of a file upload. Now let's take a look at another example here. We're going to go into, I believe it's parking. No, I think it's infrastructure and basic services where we are. Yeah, so we're looking at a development application, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And here we have a form that we can actually enter in information into. So this is kind of a step a little bit in between here where there's the ability to put in user input and be able to control that. So whereas a file upload is simply an upload of a file and that is it, here we've got the ability to put some guardrails around this. So for example, I've only got the yes or no selection here, but I've got free text for the rest, just like you would see with normal forms on the web. And this information can then also be, included and processed with the submission of this developer application. So if I put in my first name here for Matthew, Matthew Fakers, I think what I called him. So we'll call it test building at 123 Fake Street. And we'll say we've reviewed all the required permits and we have our architecture drawings. And that's actually a good example where we may also provide a upload, depending on the answer to this. So we'll add that to the bag as well. Okay, so we've got a few examples here. We'll have one more example, and this is going to be a very common example. A lot of the times it's going to be difficult to provide a transaction where time is involved. What do I mean by that? Well, if I need to, for example, book swimming lessons for my kid, that's going to have a time component. There's different times that these are available, and the class may fill up pretty quick, right? And I get to choose, which one do I want to kind of look at? Well, I'm going to take a look at maybe the swimming camp. So here we got the swimming camp, the styles camp, and I've chosen my date, and I can select this here as well. Perfect. Okay, so we've got, to recap, 4 different transactions with 4 different examples and types of additional information that can be integrated into or built out from the native Dynamics Commerce add-on for finance and operations. And this allows you to run these transactions from either the out-of-the-box site builder or a custom-built website based on headless commerce patterns. Hopefully this was a good overview of some of the different transaction enrichment capabilities that do exist, and give you some ideas about how you might be able to go further with your services and transactions in an e-commerce context for your citizens online.